Welcome, and thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy this video, we invite those of you who haven't yet done so, to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the notification icon, to be notified when the next one is uploaded. We'd also like to urge those of you who haven't yet done so, to sign our online petition for an inquiry into the BBC and Channel 4's coverage of Lewis Hamilton and Abu Dhabi, which we have amended to include Gary Lineker's sacking by the BBC. A link has been provided in the description. If you are on X, then please repost our tweet. Thank you. For some time now, lamestream F1 media have been selling Max Verstappen as a once-in-a-lifetime generational talent. The only driver that has been able to handle the formerly all-conquering Red Bull car that is tricky to drive. Never mind that Daniel Ricciardo outperformed him for 2 consecutive seasons, before leaving Red Bull in protest against Verstappen bias. Never mind that Sergio Perez looked set to offer him some stiff competition until the team orders were routinely applied while the team was claiming they were free to race. Never mind that his first title was robbed off Sir Lewis, and he ran away with the next 3 with the FIA's active assistance. His reign has been so awful that F1 have had to pull out all the stops to gaslight it, but it is rather heartwarming that Andrew Benson and the BBC could find no words to gaslight his performance at the British GP. His conspicuous absence from their post-race report speaks volumes. You can choose to believe that he deserved to win the 2021 title, because it suits your agenda. You can choose to believe that he went on to win 3 more titles without the FIA's support, as he was breaking records at such a rate that would put the combined efforts of Ben Johnson and Lance Armstrong to shame. But what you cannot ignore is the fact that stats don't lie, and his, which have long been too good to be true, have now reached a level that are just frankly risible. It is universally acknowledged that a clear sign of doping is when performances are yo-yoing all over the place, from one extreme to another. Max's performances have most definitely been bouncing all over the place as he is struggling to keep up with the McLarens, who have become the FIA's latest protégé. So, at the beginning of the season, McLaren were able to enjoy a technological advantage that gave their car an edge, and the FIA allowed themselves up to mid-season to see how things would play out. As we can see, the Papaya team is running away with the constructors' title, while Oscar and Lando are hotly contesting the driver's title. If one of them had been supremely gifted in handling their tricky car, then that person would be running away with the title alongside the team, like Max had been able to do for the last 3 seasons. However, his legacy as the most gifted driver in F1 history, and by that we mean the one who has received the most gifts from the FIA, is breaking down in slow motion before our very eyes, as the lamestream F1 media are struggling to keep up the gaslighting. In our previous video we pointed out that the improvement from 9th in FP1 at Jeddah to pole position was just so ridiculous that it would be folly to try and repeat that at Silverstone, when he ended FP1 in 10th. But lo and behold, that is exactly what they ended up doing. To put it into perspective, there are no other drivers in F1 history that have inexplicably experienced such wild swings in performance, not to talk of defending world champions. Looking at the performance in Jeddah and Silverstone of the 8 drivers from the 4 top teams, we can see that the only other driver with as wild a swing in performance as Max had in Jeddah was the Mercedes rookie Kimi Antonelli. Such a wild swing from a rookie is understandable, but how do you explain that from a 4-time world champion, driving the same car that gave him his 4 consecutive world titles? The same car that has tumbled down the constructors' table and currently props up the bottom of the top 4, having swapped places with McLaren Mercedes from when they last topped the chart in 2023. Quite early in this season, Max started whinging that he was a spectator in the title race, because his car could not compete with the McLarens. The McLarens have been consistently at the top of free practice and qualifying throughout the season, and the reason for any dips in performance can be clearly identified. For example, Lando's 10th place on the Jeddah starting grid after running 1st or 2nd during free practice, Q1 and Q2, can clearly be attributed to driver error. At Silverstone, the Ferrari drivers' 10th and 14th positions in Q1 despite a strong showing in the other sessions, can be put down to the red flag, which reduced the track time available for them to recover. Sir Lewis's 11th position in FP3 can also be attributed to the 2 red flags that interrupted the last 10 minutes. Again, there's no explanation for Max going from 10th to 1st beyond him being the only one to wring performance out of the car that is supposedly tricky to drive. Despite perennially moaning about his uncompetitive car, Max tops the pole position chart alongside Oscar with 4, while Lando is running 3rd with 3. However, Max in 3rd place on the drivers' table is falling further behind the McLaren drivers as the season progresses. He has only been able to convert one of his 4 pole positions to race victory. So, either his car is being juiced up for qualifying and doesn't have the long run pace, or he is throwing away his poles, or a combination of the two. In Miami, he lost the pole when he locked up under pressure from Lando. He also lost position to Oscar when he locked up again under pressure. In Jeddah, he got beaten off the start and into the first corner, lost his head and picked up a penalty which cost him the race, despite having the pace to try and recover. Again, last Sunday, under the pressure of close-quarter racing, the supposed master of the wets went for several swims, with the final one costing him the most, as he could only recover to 5th. So, on the 3 occasions he failed to convert his pole position to race victory, that was down to his poor close-quarter racing skill set. We know that once Mercedes were able to provide Sir Lewis with a competitive car mid-2021 season, he exposed how bad Max was at close-quarters racing, to overhaul him and win the title that the FIA had to steal for him. In early 2022, Charles again exposed how bad Max is at close-quarters racing, and the FIA were forced to come to his defense to save themselves the embarrassment of him publicly calling for their assistance over the radio mid-race. From then on, Max never faced any competition for the title until now. It is not surprising to us that despite getting the most number of poles, he is not only trailing the McLaren drivers, but also falling further behind and into the clutches of those below him on the table. So, either Max's car does not have the long run pace that he has been whinging about, and his qualifying performance is being boosted, or he has been lying about his car's competitiveness to hide the fact that he is the one failing to maximize the car's potential because of errors he routinely makes when under pressure early or mid-race. In our next video we will go into further detail about the astonishing evidence that Max's charade is all but over, especially now that the 2 Ferrari drivers with a long history of schooling him on the finer points of racing have joined the fray. But for the time being it is somewhat refreshing to find the BBC and Andrew Benson could not find a way to boost Max's performance at the British GP. Forza Ferrari.